welcome back to Workplace Revolution. Onboarding new employees in this remote-first world is a big deal right now for so many companies.
Absolutely.
And honestly, it's a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
But also, it's like a huge opportunity to kind of rethink the process.
Totally.
What if onboarding could be fun?
Uh-huh.
What if it could be so engaging that new hires actually look forward to it? I know it sounds crazy,
Right.
but that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today.
I love that. And I think you bring up such a good point with that idea of fun and engaging, because so much of what we see right now with remote onboarding is, companies sort of scrambling to digitize those old in-person processes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we really need to be thinking about this differently, like leveraging technology to create something completely new, something better, something more engaging, and maybe even, dare I say, enjoyable.
Okay, I am so curious. What makes this approach to remote onboarding so different? Like, what are we talking about here?
So let's think about that traditional onboarding experience. I mean, it was often a whirlwind of paperwork, right? Presentations, those awkward introductions.
Oh, totally.
And in this remote world, it's so easy for that to feel even more impersonal and overwhelming.
Yeah.
So what we're doing with GFoundry is creating a platform that flips the script.
Okay.
It's all about personalized journeys. So each new hire is guided through the process in a way that's tailored for them and for their role.
Interesting. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Absolutely not. It can't be one size fits all.
Right.
We have customizable journeys that companies can adapt to their specific culture and their onboarding goals. Plus, we've built in multilingual support so everyone feels included right away.
Yeah.
But the most exciting piece, I think, is our gamification engine.
Okay.
So we found by adding in game-like elements, we can make onboarding fun.
Gamification. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I'm also a little skeptical. I mean, can you really make something like onboarding, which everyone thinks of as so tedious and bureaucratic, actually enjoyable?
I get the skepticism. I really do. But research shows that gamification can be super effective for boosting engagement and motivation. Think about it. When you're playing a game, you naturally want to learn the rules. You want to complete challenges. You want to earn rewards.
Right.
So why not use that same psychology in the onboarding process?
Okay, I am starting to see the potential here. But how does this actually work? Like, how do you use gamification to make onboarding more engaging? What are some examples?
So one way is by awarding points for completing tasks, like, watching a training video or filling out a form. Then you can use those points to unlock new content or earn badges or compete with other new hires.
Oh, on a leaderboard.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of progress and achievement.
So you're turning onboarding into a game. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But beyond just making people, feel good, does this actually lead to better outcomes? Like, do new hires actually learn more effectively or integrate into the company better?
Yes. We've seen some great results. For example, we have a client, Natixis, and they saw a big reduction in early departure rates after using our gamified onboarding solution. So their new hires were sticking around longer. And not just that those new employees were more engaged, they felt more connected to the company culture right from the start.
Wow, so it's not just like a gimmick, it's really making a difference. Do you have any other examples of this in action?
Yeah, so Closer Consulting, they used our platform to create their own onboarding experience. They called it Stay Closer, which was amazing.
Okay.
And, that included features for performance evaluation and training and onboarding, of course. And they were able to personalize the whole journey and create this, excitement right from the get-go for new hires.
It sounds like this approach is really setting up those new hires for long-term success, not just, checking boxes.
Exactly. And it begins with, recognizing that onboarding shouldn't just end after the first day or even the first week. We need to be thinking about how to give those new hires support and resources to help them thrive in their roles long-term.
Okay, so you've definitely sold me on this whole gamified approach. But what about other aspects of remote onboarding? What are some other things that companies should be thinking about when it comes to planning and structuring the entire onboarding process?
I think one of the most important things is to have a really clear onboarding plan. So define clear goals for what you want new hires to achieve by the end of the process. You know what knowledge and skills they need to acquire, what kind of support will they need along the way. Once you have that, you can start to create a structured schedule with clear timelines, milestones, and check-ins.
Those check-ins are so important, especially in a remote setting.
Wow.
It's so easy to feel isolated,
I agree. Check-ins make sure that new hires are on track. and they have a chance to ask questions, get any concerns addressed. It just reinforces that they're a valued part of the team. It's also really helpful to think about remote onboarding in like distinct phases.
Oh, okay, interesting. I like that idea. What are these phases?
So you've got pre-boarding, which is all about getting those new hires excited and prepared even before their official start date.
Right.
Then there's the first day, of course, which is all about making a great first impression and helping them get settled. The first week is about diving deeper into the role and connecting with their team.
Yeah.
And finally, there's that ongoing support piece, which is about, providing continuous learning opportunities, feedback, and resources to help them grow.
So it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And each phase needs a slightly different approach. For example, in that pre-boarding phase, it's crucial to, send a warm welcome email, provide all the equipment and access to the right tools, and even, share some insights into the company culture and values. This can really help ease any anxieties and just set the stage for a smooth transition. Then on that first day, you want to make sure they have a clear schedule of, virtual meetings, introductions to their team members, and maybe even like a virtual tour.
I love that. A virtual tour that's so fun. It gives them a sense of place, even if they're not physically in an office.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there are some potential pitfalls that companies should be aware of, even with the best intentions, right?
Yeah, of course. Even with the best plans and tools, it's easy to make mistakes, especially since, this is a relatively new territory for many companies. I think one of the biggest mistakes is assuming that digital onboarding is like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Just because you've created this, fancy platform doesn't mean it's going to solve every problem.
So it's not just about the technology, it's how you use it.
Exactly. You have to really think about how you design the experience, how you personalize it to those individual needs, and how you incorporate that human connection. Another common mistake is neglecting that pre-boarding phase.
Oh, yeah.
Companies often just rush to get new hires into their roles without setting the stage.
Right.
Which leads to a lot of confusion.
Totally, I can imagine that.
And feeling overwhelmed. And I think one that's often overlooked is forgetting about employee feedback. You really need to be consistently asking your new hires for feedback and using that to improve your process.
Yeah.
What's working well? What can be better?
What are they struggling with?
That feedback is really key to creating an onboarding experience that works for everyone.
It's so funny how sometimes those obvious things are the easiest to forget. We get so caught up in the logistics and the technology that we forget to just ask people what they need.
Yeah. It's about finding that balance between technology and that human connection, and that's something that we've really focused on with G-Foundry. Building a platform that gives companies the power to create those engaging, personalized experiences without losing that human element.
Makes sense. I think this is a perfect transition to talk about the future of remote onboarding. Where do you see things headed in the next few years? Any exciting trends on the horizon?
One thing's for sure, remote onboarding is here to stay. As technology keeps evolving, we're going to see some really cool trends emerge, like the use of AI and automation, a bigger focus on employee well-being, and the need for, seamless integration with other platforms.
Okay, so you've definitely got my attention. Let's dive into those trends.
I think one trend that I am really excited about is AI in onboarding. Imagine if AI could personalize the onboarding experience so much that it feels like having a mentor who's there whenever you need them.
Oh, wow. Like a virtual onboarding buddy powered by AI. That sounds pretty futuristic.
It's not as far off as you might think. AI could look at a new hire's skills, their interests, their learning style, and create a custom onboarding journey just for them.
Okay.
It could recommend training modules, connect them with resources, and give them personalized feedback and support throughout the process.
That's incredible. It sounds like it could free up HR to focus on more strategic work, too.
Exactly. AI could take care of all the administrative stuff like scheduling meetings, sending reminders, collecting paperwork. And then HR teams can focus on, the human side of onboarding, building relationships, fostering that sense of belonging, and creating a positive company culture.
So it's not about AI replacing human interaction. It's more like AI enhancing it.
Right.
By handling those tedious tasks.
Exactly.
So humans can focus on connecting with each other.
Yes. And it's not just about efficiency. AI can also help create a more inclusive onboarding experience. It can help spot and fix potential biases in the process.
That's so important. We talk about unconscious bias in hiring, but it can definitely happen in onboarding too. It's really cool that AI can help address that. You also mentioned employee well-being as a trend.
Yes.
How does that play into onboarding?
Well, starting a new job can be stressful, even under the best circumstances. And remotely, those feelings of stress and isolation, they can be even worse. So it's really important to include well-being things in the onboarding
Like
process.
what kinds of things are we talking about here?
Things like giving them access to mindfulness resources or offering virtual yoga classes or meditation, and encouraging new hires to take breaks and make their well-being a priority. It's about creating that culture where well-being is valued right from the start.
I love that. It makes so much sense to remember onboarding isn't just about teaching people their job responsibilities.
Mhm.
It's about creating that positive experience that sets them up to succeed as a whole person.
Definitely.
But with all this talk about, AI and well-being and the future of work, are there any specific things companies can do right now to make their remote onboarding better?
For sure. One of the simplest but most effective things is to create a dedicated onboarding hub. This could be like a section on your company intranet or a whole platform that has all the info and resources new hires need.
A one-stop shop for onboarding.
Yes, it should have things like the company handbook policies and procedures, training materials, contact info for key people, and even a welcome message from the CEO.
That would help reduce confusion and feeling overwhelmed for those new hires. What else can companies do?
Another great strategy is a buddy system. Pair each new hire with a more experienced employee.
Okay.
That can be such a valuable source of support and guidance.
It's like a virtual mentor to guide them through the process.
Exactly. The buddy can answer questions, offer advice, introduce them to the team, and help them navigate the company culture. It's a great way to build those connections and that sense of belonging right away.
I love that buddy system. It's such a simple idea, but so powerful.
Yeah.
What about companies that are still using traditional in-person onboarding methods? Are they missing out by not going fully remote?
I wouldn't say they're missing out. In-person onboarding has its advantages for sure, especially for building those relationships and the community feeling.
Right, yeah.
But I think the pandemic really showed us that remote onboarding can be just as effective,
Uh-huh.
and maybe even more so in some cases. And it opens up a whole world of possibilities when it comes to using technology to create engaging, personalized experiences.
So it's not an either situation.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right mix and using the best of both worlds to create an onboarding experience that truly works for everyone.
Yes, and that might mean having a mix of in-person and remote elements, like a hybrid approach.
Okay.
You could have the virtual onboarding portal for all the logistics, but then also have in-person team building or social events when it's safe to do so.
Makes sense. It's all about having that flexible onboarding program that can change and adapt as your company's needs change. Speaking of flexibility, what about the tools themselves? What tools or technologies would you suggest for companies that want to up their remote onboarding game?
There are so many amazing tools out there, it's hard to choose, but I would say any good remote onboarding program needs a strong learning management system or LMS.
Right, and LMS is key for training, whether it's in person or remote. What else?
You'll also need a good video conferencing platform for meetings, training sessions, and one-on-one conversations. And you need a reliable communication platform like Slack or Teams for instant messaging, file sharing, and that kind of collaboration.
Okay, that's like the foundation.
Yeah.
Are there any more specific tools that can really take remote onboarding up a notch? You talked about gamification before.
Yes.
Any specific tools or platforms that come to mind for adding that element to the onboarding process?
Oh, for sure. There are platforms specifically designed for gamified onboarding. They can help you create interactive quizzes, challenges, even virtual simulation
Oh, wow.
to make onboarding more fun and engaging. They can also track progress, give out points, and create those leaderboards for some healthy competition.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds like there are a lot of options for companies that want to be creative.
Yeah,
But with all these tools and technologies, it can be a bit overwhelming.
it can.
Any advice for companies that are feeling lost?
My best advice is start by figuring out your needs and your goals. What are you hoping to achieve with your onboarding program?
Yeah.
What are your biggest challenges? Once you know that, you can start to look at different tools and platforms and see which ones fit your organization best.
That's such good advice. It's easy to get caught up in the newest tech, but not every tool is right for every company.
Exactly. And remember, technology is just one part of it. Even the fanciest onboarding platform won't work if it's not implemented well and if it's not part of a bigger strategy that values human connection and well-being.
Totally agree. It's all about that balance between the tech and the human touch. And remembering onboarding is an ongoing thing. We need to be thinking about how to keep those new hires engaged and supported well after their start date.
You're absolutely right. Onboarding is just the start of the employee journey. It's our job as employers to create an environment where new hires feel welcome and supported and ready to succeed.
That's a great point. Well, this has been a super insightful conversation. We've covered so much from the challenges of remote onboarding to the potential of AI and gamification. But before we wrap up, I want to talk about one more thing that's often overlooked: the role of company culture in onboarding. Company culture, it can be kind of hard to grasp, especially for people working remotely. How can companies make sure that new hires are really getting a feel for the culture even when they're not physically in the office?
That's a great point. It really boils down to being intentional about how you weave your company culture into every step of the onboarding process. It's not just about having a fancy mission statement on the website or a slide in a presentation. You've got to bring that culture to life through stories, examples, real interactions.
Well, this is more about showing them the culture, not just telling them about it.
Exactly. One really effective way to do that is through storytelling. Share anecdotes that show your company values in action.
Nah.
Highlight employees who are living those values every day. Make it personal and relatable. I love that because stories, they just stick with you so much better than these abstract ideas. They help make that connection, you know, and the culture feels more real.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the stories themselves, it's also about how you interact with new hires throughout the whole onboarding process.
Right.
Are you responsive to their questions? Are you giving them regular feedback and support? Are you creating chances for them to connect with other employees and actually experience the culture firsthand?
It's about creating a welcoming and inclusive space, even if it's a virtual one.
You got it. And it's about understanding that building a strong company culture is an ongoing effort. It's not a one-and-done thing. You need to be nurturing it and reinforcing it all the time, even long after onboarding is over.
So onboarding is like the first step in this bigger cultural journey.
That's a great way to put it, and I think that's something we really baked into our platform at GFoundry. We wanted it to be more than just a tool for onboarding.
Yeah.
It's a platform for engagement, learning, development.
It's a way to keep people connected to the company and to each other, no matter where they're working.
That's such a key point, I think. Onboarding isn't just about getting people up to speed on their tasks. It's about welcoming them into the company, making them feel like they belong, and setting them up for success.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise on the future of remote onboarding.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
I think our listeners got a lot of great insights on how to create amazing onboarding experiences that set their new hires up for success, even in this new world of remote work. So to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Workplace Revolution, brought to you by GFoundry. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. And if you're interested in learning more about how GFoundry can help you transform your remote onboarding process, head over to our website at gfoundry.com. Until next time, keep innovating and keep revolutionizing the way we work.